Genetics. What can it mean? The ability to perfect the physical and mental characteristics of every unborn child.
You could design your baby's features, would you?
Gene editing.
Gene therapy.
Gene editing revolution has arrived.
The gene editing technique CRISPR-Cas9.
The technology is called pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, or PGD.
I think all this gene editing technology is really going to play out in a good way for diseases like HIV.
Parents can select eye color, hair color, and more.
The world's first gene-edited babies.
They're very bold, innovative techniques, mostly to try and cure people.
Promising cures for terminal disease.
I just feel healthier.
But new genetic technologies bring with them new ethical and practical risks.
In the past 5 years, we've made more progress than in the previous 50.
Say no to GMO! Of genetic engineering to choose the gene. In the sense of society.
Although techniques such as CRISPR provide tempting remedies for genetic disorders like sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis, the ability to edit the human genome comes with an ethical dilemma and unclear guidelines on just how far scientists are allowed to go. From fictional films such as Gattaca all the way to present-day technological news, the nightmare is turning into reality as scientists begin to take advantage of technological advancements to inadvertently promote eugenics. Trait selection has been a popular concept for over hundreds of years. People have bred animals and plants for years, trying to get the best traits to be produced in each. This is referred to as breeding and artificial selection. In fact, some even try to apply this concept to humans in the past to achieve the perfect human. This concept is known as eugenics.
Eugenics is the scientifically erroneous and immoral theory of racial improvement and planned breeding. Eugenicists worldwide believe that they could perfect human beings and eliminate so-called social ills through genetics and heredity.
The most popular example of an attempt to put this into play was Hitler and his experiments during World War II. Hitler and his supporters believed that criminality, mental illness, alcoholism, and poverty were hereditary, so we tried to eliminate people falling into these categories by sterilizing them. This practice was extremely immoral and problematic. In fact, this is not the only example of when people try to promote eugenics. There has been many incidents of it, including several in the US stemming from racism, sexism, ableism, classism, and other problematic forms of discrimination. So, what is CRISPR-Cas9? CRISPR is short for clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. It is a genome editing system developed from bacteria that recognizes invading viruses, deploying a special enzyme to chop them into pieces. It has two components, a cellular scalpel to cut DNA as well as RNA used to transmit biological information throughout the genome. The RNA guides the cellular scalpel so it knows to find and fix a very specific string of nucleotides.
The two scientists credited for developing CRISPR technology are Emmanuel Carpentier and Jennifer Doudna.
The CRISPR-Cas9 can be explained as a Swiss Army knife that allows to repair genes. My ultimate wish would be that it's really a technology that could be used to treat serious human genetic disorders.
Although Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna had noble intentions when creating this technology, not everyone feels the same way. Now, there is an opportunity for people to produce the perfect babies that turn into perfect children and perfect adults. The beauty standards will be set in stone, and there may be an increase in issues such as racism as well. In the past, the beauty standard was being blonde with blue eyes, and this may very well be a standard that comes back if people are allowed to choose what traits their children get. Already, there has been a boom in the amount of cosmetic plastic surgeries in the past decade because everyone wants to look exactly like a celebrity. Gene editing of physical characteristics may cause a lack of diversity. Everyone will begin to look the same if everyone gets gene editing, and who knows what the repercussions would be. A perfect example of how it can all go wrong is seen in Gattaca. In this movie from 1997, people with the perfect genes are considered valids, and everyone whose genes were left to chance are considered invalids. The valids get more opportunities than the invalids who are looked down upon. In this dystopian future, people are judged based on their genes, not their capabilities. By taking gene editing too far, this is the future we may be looking at.
First, we may as well decide on gender. Have you given it any thought?
We would want Vincent to have a brother, to play with.
Of course you would. Hello, Vincent. You have specified hazel eyes, dark hair, and fair skin.
As can be seen, this type of picking and choosing of traits such as sex and physical characteristics can be very problematic.
This is not to say that CRISPR and gene editing are a bad thing. The technology itself is revolutionary. It can provide remedies for genetic disorders such as sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, and HIV. People who live with such conditions suffer for their entire lives, and if these disorders can be prevented before the birth of a baby, it will be wonderful. 52-year-old Matt Chappell suffered from an HIV infection that no medication could treat until he tried gene editing therapy.
I just feel healthier. I don't have to really deal with side effects from some of the medications that are out there. It makes me feel much more positive about a future. If you were to ask me in the early 90s if I'd be sitting here right now, no way.
Furthermore, it might be possible to install genes that offer lifelong protection against infection and Alzheimer's disease. As it is widely known, both of these conditions change a person and increase mortality rates. Having a cure for them would change the course of human history for the better. Despite the obvious positives of this revolutionary technology, there are a great deal of moral issues that come with it. Scientists are venturing into unknown territory, so there is a great deal of uncertainty and guidelines for what is allowed and what is not. Some of the biggest drawbacks of this technology exist because of a lack of rules to go with this technology. Since scientists can rewrite the entire genome at will, there is no one and no rules to prevent them from editing certain traits, such as those that change physical appearance or strengthen certain traits that should go untouched. Sometimes scientists will be tempted to use this technology to engineer embryos during vitro fertilization and edit the genome of healthy embryos. All this may result in transformative changes in human well-being, with consequences to people's life span, identity, and economic output. The consequences of going too far with this technology to change genes that should go untouched include consequences much like that of eugenics, making the two very similar. Furthermore, such technology would increase the socioeconomic gap even more, creating a more distinct difference between the rich and everyone else. Only the rich will be allowed to afford more gene editing for things such as appearance, intelligence, and other physical attributes. Essentially, human life will be commodified. In an extreme case, this may result in two distinct breeds of humans, making our worst nightmares reality and promoting eugenics.